Thank you very much for the breadth of that presentation from all three of you. We are inevitably running behind, but I will open the floor for 5 minutes for some questions. Yes, if you could come up to either of these microphones and just introduce yourself briefly before asking your question.
Cheers. Nice enough presentation. Just to give a quick introduction about myself, I am working with Legend Securities out of New York. We are the only commodity-based Sharia-compliant organization trying to raise money for Sharia money for mining companies around the world, particularly North America. I was just wondering, why don't you guys start your own education program, your own designation? Certainly we could help out because I'm based out of Toronto, really. I've been teaching, I know FSAs because I'm FSA regulated myself. Why don't you guys start something here? Just your organization can have your own exams and have Sharia compliant scholars or qualified candidates. Cheers, thanks.
Thank you.
A lot of what is being done on the education side has just been started, as it were. We at the Center of Excellence are open to exploring those types of opportunities. I know that from the work that I have done with a number of educational institutions here, there is an interest in having some form of designation. We need to understand what that looks like, what are the types of content that we need to have in place, and there's a commitment from, I would say, the provincial government to look at those types of initiatives coming forward. So we're in early stages at the moment, and that will be one of the things that will be on the table for consideration.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think especially in view of the fact that Toronto is apparently the mining finance capital of the world. Mm-hmm. Are there any more questions? Yes, go ahead, sir. Lorne Cutler.
Yes, thank you. I was wondering, I understand the need to create the hub and that Toronto is the logical location, but given the size of Canada and the variances in the economy across the country, is there any plans at this stage or in the future to be able to spin out some of the expertise to other areas of the country?
You want to take that?
Let me go ahead. Thanks for the question. It's an important question, and for those who are not from Canada, I mean, Canada has the richness of having strong financial services communities in a number of cities. Vancouver, Montreal have a special status in Canadian law, having been designated as international financial centers. And you look at Calgary and Ottawa and other commercial centers, and there are a great deal of strength in those communities as well. I think in the first instance, what we need to do is ensure that we have set the table for Canada. We're not talking about proposing changes to rules or regulations that are city-specific. The challenges we face in terms of creating an entirely welcoming and attractive and supportive environment is ensuring that provincial law, in the first instance, and federal law, which obviously would be of a national nature, remove any obstacles that may exist. Now, we're focused in Ontario, but whatever solutions that we propose and are able to advocate successfully for implementation would I would have thought be helpful, to the extent relevant in other jurisdictions across the country. So it's not only about this. This is an opportunity for Canada, very much to become seen in those parts of the world where Islamic finance is a very important force, as an open and welcoming jurisdiction and an environment. And we're committed to ensuring that we work with all interested parties in Canada to see that accomplished. Having said that, Toronto is Canada's financial capital. And if it's absolutely key that we in this community embrace the opportunity and work cooperatively to ensure that we're successful in the first instance in terms of Toronto's perspective.
Thank you.
Yes, Mo. Anwar, if you could just use the microphone again and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Mo Anwar. I'm with TD Waterhouse Private Client Services. Do you see a hindrance towards Islamic finance and actually attracting capital for Canada overall, just because we don't have a single securities regulator? We got 10 provinces, 10 different regulators. So somebody sitting outside, looking to establish a presence in Canada. Could you comment on that, please? Thank you.
You're a lawyer.
Okay. Well, actually, thank you for the question. Actually, it's again, it's sort of, for those of you who aren't Canadians, talking about securities regulation, provincial securities regulation is a topic much like hockey in terms of its interest. And actually, having been a former director of legal services within the Ministry of Financial Institutions in Ontario, I have a particular interest in the topic. I'd say this: we have a very, very sophisticated securities regulatory regime. It's not national in the same way that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission plays a predominant role within the United States, although I would point out that there are blue sky rules, state securities laws in each of the jurisdictions, each of the states in the United States, and that unless you can rely on exemptions from state securities compliance requirements, you do have more than one level of government involved in securities regulation. There is a high level of coordination and cooperation among provincial securities regulators in Canada. The Canadian Securities Administrators over the past decade has done, I think, really a first-class job of seeking to unify and in many instances, not only harmonize, but unify the level of regulation. And so while the administration is regional to some extent, we have made considerable strides towards creating very much a national set of rules. And I would say that it's a system which works very diligently to protect investors and at the same time to provide an efficient capital market. So if you're seeking to attract investors from outside of Canada, I think you can tell them that they will come to a jurisdiction where securities regulation is treated with a very high standard, and it's not the most complex system in the world, but it's designed to achieve those broad policy objectives.
Well, thank you for your questions and thank you for your presentation. We're going to move into the final session of the day, which is about the Sharia compliance and approval process. It's going to be moderated, I believe, by Taha Abdul Basir, and the